CBS 42 Weather Center. Thank you for being with us.
Absolutely.
All right, take care. That's Ashley Gann on the Matt Nani Hotline, running down what to expect over the course of the day today.
Yeah, Papa Spoon, if you could go get the car seat out of your truck because I'm going to squoze myself into it.
It's actually with my...
So it's 2:30. The next set of storms are supposed to start around 2:30. So we'll see. I'm about 15 minutes south of Birmingham, and they're supposed to hit Birmingham between 2:30 and 4:30. They didn't pinpoint a time for Birmingham specifically, or if they did, I just didn't hear it. But the next little storm is supposed to start right now. So I thought I would kind of talk to you guys about like the worst tornado situation I've lived through. We have them here twice a year. There are outbreaks left and right in the spring and in the fall when the seasons are changing. But sometimes they're really bad. Like we had an outbreak on April 27th, 2011, where hundreds of people died. And my personal experience with that day, my brother, he is 4 years younger than I am. He lived in a town about 15 minutes from my house, and the tornado went right through his neighborhood. So we rushed over. The trees were down so bad that they had the roads, and the damage was bad, so they had the roads closed. So we had to park our car and walk about 2 miles in all of the debris. The trees were down, the power lines were down. We were climbing through dangerous situations just to see if they were alive. Like, we didn't know. So that was pretty scary. I had the kids with me, and I'll attach some pictures from that day if I can. I have problems sometimes when I attach pictures to my videos with the videos loading, so I'll do my best. Anyway, so we get to my brother's house. They had 6 trees on top of their house, so their house was a total loss. We helped them get as much stuff out as we could, that we could carry, that is, because you could only walk in and out of there. You couldn't get a vehicle in there, and we had another round of storms coming right behind it. So we packed what we could in about 15 or 20 minutes, carried out what we could, and then went and got into a safe place for the next round of storms. That same day, now there were like 35 tornadoes that touched down that day. But this one particular tornado, if I'm remembering correctly, went from Mississippi all the way through to Georgia. So it was on the ground for a very, very long time. And it is the storm that I told you guys about, that tornado that took out my sister, my brother, and my dad's house. And they were all 3 in different cities. So after we took care of my brother, got to safety, I tried to check on my dad, couldn't get through. The tornado went right through his neighborhood. And when I say neighborhood, the tornado was like a mile wide. It tore up everything. I mean, flattened everything. For 3 days, maybe 4, we kept calling, trying to get in touch, couldn't get anybody on the phone. The National Guard, they had set up a number for you to call and check on your loved ones. They kept writing out to his house, and they kept telling me, there's no one there. There's no one home at that address. Well, finally, on the last day that they told me something, they told me that his house was actually gone, that it was a concrete slab, and that if he was in the house, he didn't make it. So I thought maybe they told me that on the first day. But I thought for like 3 or 4 days that my dad was dead, okay? As soon as they allowed people to start coming back into the area, because it was days before they'd allow people to drive into the area. Now I want to check the dates because I don't want to tell you guys wrong. I think it was like 3 or 4 days. That's what it feels like now. This was 6 years ago. I'll go back in and look at pictures and get the dates so I can actually tell you the right thing. But I know I thought for days that my dad was dead. Anyways, my brother and I drove over there as soon as they lifted the ban over there. We passed out waters to all the police officers that were directing traffic, passed out waters to volunteers and stuff like that, and eventually got to my dad's house, and his house was actually still standing. They had been going and checking on the wrong address because the street signs were all gone, and the houses around his house were all concrete slabs, but his house was actually still standing, and he was sitting in the driveway with a bunch of people that did not have anywhere to go. They had no water, no power, no food for days and days. I mean, this went on for a long time. He actually had to move because it was so bad. Anyway, and then my stepsister, she was moving into a new house the day of the tornado, and it was a brand new subdivision, and she has a little baby with cystic fibrosis. Now he is like 6 now. He was a little baby then. So he has cystic fibrosis, and then she had a 2-year-old. And she's washing dishes, and she saw the tornado coming. And so she grabbed the baby, and her husband grabbed the 2-year-old, and they got into a hall and pulled their mattress down on top of them because he was in the middle of moving. So that mattress was leaning up against the wall in the hallway. So he pulled it down on top of them, and their house literally imploded. Like, no walls left. The only thing left were the 2 walls in the hallway, and that mattress leaned up against them. And on the other side of that mattress was tons of debris. So if that mattress wouldn't have been there, the debris would have hit them. But the rest of their house was gone. And when she came out from underneath that mattress, she had dead neighbors in her yard and in her driveway. I'm telling you guys, hundreds of people lost their lives that day. And in her neighborhood alone, I think that there were like 7, but she had, she didn't know anybody. They were moving in that day, and she literally had people die in her yard. So it's a very traumatic thing to go through a tornado, but it's even more traumatic when you see the devastation. I mean, there's nothing you can do. When a tornado comes through, you're at the mercy of the weather. There's nowhere you can go. There's nothing you can do. You can be smart. You can get to a low place. Some people wear helmets. Some people have storm shelters and things like that, but there's really nothing you can do. And when you see the damage and the death and destruction that this stuff causes, it's just, I can't even speak. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. And now my stepsister and my sister-in-law both have almost like a PTSD from this. Like, they're both horrified of storms. They both have nightmares. They've lived through a lot of trauma, So, anyway, I'll post a couple pictures of that, but I'll kind of, the reason why I'm filming this one today is because they said this is the first time since that ban of storms back in 2011 that this day is going to parallel that day, because the tornadoes are already on the ground in other states. They're long-lasting tornadoes. Usually when tornadoes touch down, if they touch down, they jump up and down, and they don't stay on the ground for long. But this particular cell of storms, they're saying the tornadoes are supposed to be on the ground for a long time. And that's when they cause the death and the destruction. So I'm a little nervous. I'm glad Adam's off today. He's with Lauren. That makes me feel better. I am 45 minutes from home, but we have a bomb shelter here, so I'm not worried about myself. If something comes through where we are, I have a place underground, so I'm fine. But I do want to share that with you guys, kind of, especially for you guys that live in states that don't have to deal with tornadoes. Count your blessings. One of the happiest things, when I found out we were moving to New Mexico, one of the first things I asked, now remember I was young, I was in my early 20s, I said, do they have tornadoes there? Because I told you guys that's one of my biggest fears. And they said, no, there are no tornadoes in New Mexico. The very first year we had lived there, they hadn't had a tornado in 20 years. The very first year we lived there, they had 2. So they said I brought the tornadoes with me, which I guess I kind of did, but anyway. So I've been horrified of tornadoes my whole life, and so I'm very nervous today. I've already flipped out on the guys at work a couple times. I have to go in and apologize to them, but it's kind of their fault. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good afternoon. I'm going to check back in with you guys and show you what's going on. Hopefully nothing happens today. Hopefully it completely misses us, but it's supposed to hit Birmingham. Our house is east of Birmingham, and so we're usually in the path of all of it. So anyway, say a prayer. We'll see you guys later.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know about that black one.
Okay, so I'm just going to start that video over again. I was getting on here to let you guys know that we didn't have any bad weather in our area today. About 10 to 15 minutes northeast of my house, there was a tornado on the ground. It looked like a pretty good sized tornado, but I haven't gotten confirmation yet from the news because I've been at work. But anyway, they were saying that there was a tornado on the ground anyways. But I just heard on the radio that about 10 minutes from where I am right now, that it's hailing really bad, and the people that are in the path of that storm need to batten down the hatches. Whatever that means. I mean, I know what batten down the hatches means, but they're not saying it's a tornado, so I'm not really sure why they're telling people to get prepared. This car is really close to me. Anyway, and then Adam just called. That's why I had to stop the last video. And asked me to stop and get trash bags. Now, Lauren's already called and asked if I would get her chocolate ice cream from the store. We're in a tornado warning, and she's calling asking for ice cream. And I told her, baby, we'll have to see, you know, how the weather's doing. Now, he's calling for trash bags. And I said, Adam, you do realize there's, like, tornado warnings right now. And you want me to stop and get trash bags? And he's like, well, just come home. I'll go get them. Okay, trash bags can wait. And he's like, no, it's driving me crazy. I need some trash bags. I'm like, whatever. OCD. I'm telling you, living with OCD. We ran out of trash bags today, and he can't wait, like, until tomorrow to get more. Like, use some Walmart bags or something in the time being. But anyway, whatever. So, there's nowhere for me to go. So if there is a tornado somewhere, I'm just left driving in it. There's nothing I can do. And I'm on a road with a bunch of trees, which stinks because I have had a tree fall on my car before one time in a tornado, and that's pretty scary. I am happy though that it's all going on when it's daytime outside, because there's nothing worse for me personally than to be in a tornado warning situation or a tornado watch and it be nighttime and you can't see the sky and you can't see what's around you. Like, I prefer this to go on during the daytime so I can actually see what's going on, because it's very, very scary to not be able to see what's going on around you. So yay for at least that much. I did go back and look up some statistics from April 27th. It actually turned out that it was 3 days worth of storms. There were over 350 tornadoes that touched down in that 3 days. In the state of Alabama on April 27th, there were, I believe, 64 tornadoes that touched down. And the one that I was concerning for me that day went through 4 states, and I'll put a picture up of its path. It killed like 65 people, just that one tornado. But on that day in Alabama, there were 249 people, I think, that died. It was major, you guys. Like, it was a major, major situation. So I did go back and look at that. I found the pictures of my dad from that day, but I couldn't find the date to see how many days it was from the time of the tornado to the time that we laid eyes on him and knew he was okay. I'll probably do one more update tonight before all of this is over, and I'll have that information by that time. But I did find pictures of my stepsister's house in her neighborhood, and I had pictures that I took of my brother's house, so I'll post those. And I also found a picture of his house, the new house, once they completed the new house. So I will post that for you too. So anyway, and then I'll post pictures of my dad's neighborhood. That way you can see. I keep saying neighborhood, but it was the whole town. The tornado was a mile wide, and it like wiped out everything. So there was not much left. So I will show you that. But I'm almost going 50 miles an hour right now, and it's raining and storming. So I need to get off of here and pay attention to what I'm doing. So there's major water on the ground. It's real easy to hydroplane right now, so I need to get off of this thing and be a little bit smarter. But anyway, I'll check back in with you guys soon. Bye. I have a waterproof phone, so this is okay, but look at this is the hail at my house. You see it on the ground? Let's see what else I can find. Yay for waterproof phones. Yeah.